already? No. A few have. Okay. Well, this is a special place, you know, the place where Jesus died at the cross and rose from the dead. Now, we have very good reasons to believe it was here, although we cannot confirm for 100%. We have to be honest with that, you know, because nobody can. Not even the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is an alternative place, and for 1,700 years they say it's up there, it is also possible. But it is not important to know where he died, because Jesus is a living Lord. He's not in the tomb anymore, and we don't adore any stones or rocks or gardens or churches, and we adore Jesus Christ. And this is what we will share with you, and when you go home, please take that with you. And so we are going to visit a place where probably Jesus died on the cross. It is Golgotha. I'll share with you something more about that place later. But the garden here was private property. We have been able to buy that place in 1894, and ever since people are coming here. You know, even the birds are here. You know, and they really do like it here. But not only the birds, also the people that are coming. Yeah, it's nice to hear that, to see them, right? So, yeah. Anyway, many people have an encounter with Jesus in this place. You know, people have given their life to Jesus in this place, and it's so amazing to see that. They're coming from all over the world. So we are first going to Golgotha. We are only living by donations. I mean, when you come in, you don't need to pay anything. The tour organization didn't pay a penny, because everything is free. But we hope that you people would like to give a donation to the garden, because we do need it. Otherwise, we won't be able to continue. But with your help and with God's help, we will. So thank you very much for putting something in a basket. When you have your communion place, you know, there is a basket for donation. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's not for me. I'm a volunteer. I have a pension in Belgium. I have enough. Okay, so thank you very much. We are first going to Golgotha. You may follow me, and then we will continue. Before the 19th century, it was very difficult for people to come to the Holy Land. You know, but when they started reading in their Bible, because before that it was forbidden, but then they started reading in the Bible, they were trying to discover places of what they were reading. And then when they came to the Holy Land, people, and one of them was Otto Tenius, a German, 1821, and the things that they discovered was this skull that you see in this picture. You see it? Or I can put it in my hand, it's maybe easier, you know?
Right there.
You see this skull? And people were thinking, this maybe be the Golgotha. The two eyes, the mouth, you know, the nose in the middle. But nobody was doing something. Why? Because the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is there for 1,700 years. Nobody is doubting that location. Okay, so but when a tomb was discovered in 1867, well, they were looking for a cave and they found that tomb. And so this is an exact copy of what we can find in the Bible. And so that tomb and the skull right here, then they started saying, hey, maybe it is. You know? And so ultimately, 1883, Charles Gordon comes here, an English general in the army, writing letters to England, guys, please, we have to buy the place. And so ultimately in 1894 it was purchased. Now this was a private area. We have been able to buy that place, but on that side, this is a public area. We couldn't buy it. It was not for sale. But what you will see then, ultimately, today it has become a bus station. And they have raised the floor level. It means that today you only see the two eyes. So the mouth disappeared. There's nothing we can do about it. It is in one way protected, but it is not. That when they have to do something, they have to do something, okay? And that's what they did. Now what you will see also between the eyes, everything already is gone. And there are more parts also of that rock that fell down. Why? Because we are modern men, and we have heavy machines, you know, and we are drilling and doing all kinds of things, like the bus station, the building of it, the use of it for 70 years. You see a concrete wall built on top of it. The wall on that side has changed already twice. There is a cemetery on top, drilling holes in the rock to put bodies inside, you know what I mean. It is destroyed. There's nothing we can do about it. But you can still see it, okay? And we have the picture. Before the 20th century it looked like this, and there's nothing that is changing this, because, you know, erosion is going very softly. It can take hundreds of years to change something. And pigeon or a donkey, they don't do it, right? So this might also have been here in the time of Jesus. When we are going up the stairs, you will see on that side a rock. It's the walls of Jerusalem. It's the third wall that is also built there in the same place as the one that was there in the time of Jesus, and it is built on a rock formation, a large one on that side, and that one was connected to the one on this side. So about 4,000 years ago, there was a hill here, and they have cut that away bit by bit because they needed stones to build Jerusalem. And that's why it became a stone quarry. Now tradition tells us that this became an execution place by stoning, because the Jewish people at that time were stoning people when they disobeyed the law. Okay? Now somebody who was probably stoned here was Stephen. He's the first martyr of the Christian church. Now on top of this hill there is a French Catholic basilica since the 4th century to remember him as the first martyr. And the Damascus Gate is behind the house there, was called St. Stephen's Gate by the Crusaders. Okay. So a stoning place outside the walls of Jerusalem, in a location, in a place where there is a skull in a rock. So you have an idea how it looked like. Okay. And this might also then be the Golgotha. Okay. Now the Damascus Gate built in 1537, when it was on the foundations of the Herodian Gate. In the time of Jesus, the Herodian Gate was a very large gate. It was the personal gate of the king, King Herod. A very important gate. And when Romans are placing crosses somewhere, they want everybody that comes in and out of the city to see the crosses. That was very important. It was not only a punishment, but it was also a warning for everybody. If you do something wrong, guys, when you come in, this will be your punishment. And what am I not allowed to do? There is a sign on the cross. And that says exactly what the person had done wrong. This is a murderer. And this is a thief, okay? Now what were they going to write in the case of Jesus? He didn't do anything wrong. And Pilate wrote on his sign, King of the Jews.
Henry.
So that is a situation. Now, if we go to a map, you know what we're going on. Location was the Herodian Gate. The northern route was coming from Damascus through the Galilee, straight inside of the city. So many caravans were coming. Many people were visiting the city. Sometimes Jesus, when he came from Galilee, going towards the temple and going back. Okay? So, this is the Temple Mount. You know what happened on Temple Mount? Abraham had to sacrifice his son Isaac on one of the hills that God would show him in the land of Moriah. This was the land of Moriah. And you know what happened there? Abraham said to his son, God will provide the lamb for the sacrifice, and that is what he did. He provided a ram to die instead of Isaac, and Isaac could go home. But he also provided 2,000 years later his own son to die for you and me, so that we don't need to die. It was also a reflection to what happened there at that moment. Okay? Now 2,000 years later, indeed, in that same location, Jesus received a cross on his shoulder. It's the Praetoria. He received that cross up there. And this cross was not his own cross, but it was the cross of a criminal, and that was Barabbas. And Barabbas that morning, he knew that he was going to die. He knew it, and he deserved it. And so he came out of prison, and Pilate said to him, you can go home, sir. You are free. And I have Jesus here. I didn't find anything. I was trying to find something, but he's innocent. But you know what? He will take your cross. That is what Jesus did. He took the cross of a criminal. The criminal could go home. And what about 2,000 years later, when God says to you and me, you can go home. You are free. Whatever you have done. And this is my son, Jesus. He didn't do anything wrong. There's no sin in him. But he takes your cross. And you can give him your iniquities, your pain, your sorrow, your illnesses, everything what is bothering you. Give it to me. That's what Jesus says. And you know where home is? This close, right? When Jesus said to his disciples, I will go to my Father, and I will prepare a home for you. And when I have prepared it, I will come back, and I will pick you up. So that is our destination. Our destination is where the Father is. that is where we will live, where the Father is. He will pick us up. Now the only question is, how do we get there? Because that's an important question that everybody has to ask himself. Right? When Jesus received that cross right here, he was going outside of that Herodian gate right here, and he was crucified at the roadside. And I know that some of you might think, no, it was on the hill, because this is for 1,700 years already something that was pumped in our mind. A hill, no, it was alongside the road. And we know that because of history, because the Romans always placed their crosses alongside the road. I told you, you know, across the sign, you had to read that sign. And everybody needs to see it. And this is what we read also in John 19, verse 20. The Jewish people, that's written there, the Jewish people could read the signs because it was close to the city. And how come they could read it? Now, Matthew 27:39, it says that the passers-by, you know, the passers-by were laughing at Jesus. People coming from the field or from I don't know where, and they are used to see a cross. They didn't laugh at the number 1. I don't know what was written on his sign, maybe murderer, I don't know, but they were passing it. And they arrived at the cross of Jesus saying, there is King of the Jews. Oh my God! And then they start laughing. What are you doing there? Man, you're not a criminal. And some recognized him. Because that is in verse 40. You were the guy that was preaching in the temple, wasn't it? I've seen you, you know. So they recognized him. Where was the cross alongside the road? Now, imagine 2,000 years back, Jesus hanging at the cross right here. And we are walking alongside that road. We are the passers-by. What are we doing? That's a question that we all can ask. What are we doing? Are we laughing at him? Can we say, Jesus, I don't need you? I can do it. Many people say that. I can do it myself. I'm a good man. Or will we say to him, Jesus, we are guilty. And you are innocent, as this one criminal said. Jesus, remember me when you come in your kingdom. When we say that to him, then make sure you have said that Jesus will say also to us, you know, you will be with me in. This is what Jesus did right here, in this place. I mainly say to my couple, you know, when you step down the stairs here and you didn't say it yet, make sure you say it. Jesus, remember me when you come in your kingdom, and we will see each other. We will be in that house of the Father. So you may take a few pictures. I will show you where the eyes are, because that is the only part that you see. But I think you see the two largest caves. It's not the one in the middle, but the black one on the left, and the largest yellow one on the right. These are the eyes. And then we will proceed into a garden. As the Bible said, in the place where he was crucified, there was a garden. Just take this path to the end of the corner. You will see.
Remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me
was a vineyard. We know that because we have found a wine press. And this is a wine press, a Roman era wine press. So this was here in the time of Jesus. Now what is important? The small stones in the middle and the container at the end. Have you been to Nazareth village? Have you had explanation about wine presses? How it works? You take off your shoes, etc. Yeah? Okay. No? Oh, that is Alex. That is Alex. When you take off your shoes, and you know why?
Squash the grapes.
Because you
Walk on the
walk
grapes.
bare feet on it.
Yeah.
It has a specific reason. It's not to add an aroma. Okay? And it is not for holiness. It is only for the seeds inside of the grapes. Because they are not allowed to be crushed, otherwise the wine is bitter. And you have to throw it away. That is why they take off their shoes. Okay? So Joseph had a vineyard and maybe more vineyards. We don't know. But he was a rich man. Okay? Now in that vineyard there was a tomb. And the tomb was discovered 1867, I told you already. It was underground in that time, and they were digging down to look for a cave, and they found the tomb. So they digged it out completely, also to repair the facade, because the facade was broken. Then we can do this. Yeah, I know. Bless them. Okay. So this is the tomb. You see that this tomb is cut in the rock. It is handmade. Also the inside, and also the channel in front of the tomb. It proves that there was a stone, a large stone in front of it, approximately 1 foot wide, around 5 to 6 feet high. It was something like 4,000 pounds. So you understand why Mary said to Solomon that morning, who will roll the stone away? Because it was a big stone. Okay, this was a big one. I'm going to stop here because it's impossible. Large, as Mary said, he would roll the stone away. And also Joseph, he rolled a large stone in front of that tomb. Now we didn't find the stone, we don't know what happened with it. Anyway, we have the channel. The top part of the door is also a part of that damage. If you look at the little gap here on the left side, this was the height of the door. Which is interesting because when John arrived at the tomb, he had to sit down to look inside. Mary bent down to go in because it was a small door. But I'm giving you some details of this tomb, which is also in the Gospel. The little window is used for the smell of the body, to leave the room, so it is some kind of air circulation. And a body stays inside approximately 1 year. You know that story too, right? And then, because that was also told at Nazareth village. And they put them in little boxes, the ossuaries, we have them on the left side. And then they put them together with the family. The Jewish people say they are gathered with their ancestors, and another body can be placed inside of that tomb. Meaning that I understand then why Joseph of Arimathea so lightly gave away his tomb. You know, he decided that in an instant. But in our opinion, we would say, man, why are you doing that? This is your family tomb. You give that away to a stranger. But he knew that it was only for 1 year. Okay? And then Jesus would leave that tomb and he was going to Nazareth in a box. Jesus, of course, had different ideas, right? He rose from the dead after 3 days. Maybe Joseph knew that. I don't know. Yeah, they knew each other, I told you. He was a secret follower of Jesus, and maybe Jesus said to him, it's only for 3 days. But I don't know. Anyway, the tomb was empty. Inside of that tomb, there are 2 chambers. There is the preparation chamber, and there is the burial chamber. Large enough here to go inside with 10, 12 people, and here the burial chamber with 3 beds. Now these beds are not in the tomb anymore, they have been taken out by the Byzantines, because in the 3rd and 4th century they were burying their deads also here, but then on the ground, and they were covering them up. Okay. Now Jesus was prepared on this particular bed, and then probably laid on this one. And why this one? Very simple, because you can see it from the door. When John stooped down, what did he see? He saw the linen wrappings in the place where Jesus was laid, and you can see that place. Okay? Now, this is a detail that I would like to give with you, because when you go inside, look on the right side and then the far end. And that was the place where Jesus was laid. And this right is also in the Gospel. Because when we read Mark 16, it says that Mary saw an angel sitting in the... Sir? Hello? Yeah, okay. On the right side. In the reception, please. Hello? Reception. Reception. Yeah. Mary saw an angel sitting on the right side. And that's a very unique detail, because you see the burial chamber here is on the right side of the door. But normally, the doors are always here. Also in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Here, and then they have the burial chamber in front, but we have it on the right side, according to the Gospel. This angel said to Mary, "What are you living amongst the dead? He is not here, he is risen." So you guys, you're all coming from the United States to look inside of an empty tomb. But there is nothing to see there, you know. He's not there. He is risen. You know, and this is what we want to see, because Jesus is a living Lord. With his resurrection, Jesus proved to be the Son of God in power. And with his resurrection, you and me, we have received eternal life. We are going home. And Jesus is the way, the truth, and life to go home. When we give our life to Jesus, as I compare this a little bit with this, you know, he grabbed my hand as soon as I did that. And he has written my name in his hand. And so he stays with me all the days of my life, because that's what he said. I will be with you all the days of your life until the end of time. And so when I die, he's still there. And then he brings me, and he says, I'll bring you to that home. And so we can stay with, or we can be with him for eternity. But when we don't out there, somebody can take pictures. We are going to try to use this place as another tourist experience. Thank you very much. This particular liturgy you won't find anywhere else, okay? And I used to write for Paulus Press, writing this kind of material for use with families and children. And so this comes from that kind of background. And it has all the elements of what's in the prayer book. But the words are different. And as we did the other day, I'll have you share with me in the words of institution. Now, if you go back to Good Shepherd or any other church, the priest is going to raise his eyes and say, "How can you say this?" You know, that's only the words for the priest. But we all share in the priesthood of Christ, okay? Christ dwells in the community, not in the priest. The priest resides at the Eucharist. So it's the community, the family of God, that is celebrating the Eucharist. And that's why the priest can't say Mass by himself. He's always got to have at least one other person with him. Okay, shall we begin?
Everybody stand? Everybody stand, please.
Stand if you will. I'm going to sit.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry.
and worthily magnify your holy name, through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
The Lord be with you.
And also with you. And then one day, across that river, I'll fight life's fight. No war with pain. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the light of glory, and I'll know He reigns. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives.
Dismiss us, please.
My brothers and sisters, let us go forth in the name of Christ.
Thanks be to God.
Well, Frank, are there more of those coffee? Coffee.